go. We're coming right back at you. Mike and Sidekick here at the Frat House on December 8th. Sidekick, we changed the scene last week here at the Frat House.
Yeah,
I've changed the scene here. The season has changed. Took that Eagles stuff, put it right away, going with the NHL. All right? Before we get into all the stuff we want to talk about, and we do have quite a bit we do want to discuss, got to do a little Frat House housekeeping here.
Sure.
Frat House Fantasy Football League, we ended the season last week and we're going into the playoffs. Playoffs? Yes, we got playoffs. There you have the bracket. Sidekick, you're, what are you're number 7 seed. Number 7 seed. We got everybody up there. Those you see names too? Well, they're Frat House fans from the Facebook page. And hey, we do this kind of stuff with all the seasons. We got all kinds of fantasy things we play. So hey, if you want to get in on this, we've got plenty of room. All you got to do is check us out on Facebook. All right. Hey, you gonna win that? You going to the next round or what? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting past this round. I don't know if I'm
touching his game with a 10-foot pole. I'm telling you right now. No way.
I'm going to get past this round, and I'm probably going to bow out at that point.
We'll give you an update on where the playoffs stand next week. Hey, we got to do a little hot stove. Let's do a little hot stove talking. Huh?
Sure.
A little MLB hot stove. You got to be a little disappointed.
I want to cry.
Yeah, I would think so.
I got a tear.
I mean, last night we're talking. Albert Pujols had 4 different offers as of last night. I'm sitting here saying, right here in the Frat House, I was sitting here saying, listen, I'm telling you right now, he's going back to the Cardinals. We find out this morning, Angels.
Yep,
it's an outrage.
We broke it on the Frat House page this morning.
Yeah. You take a look. The guy was drafted in 1999, 13th round by the St. Louis Cardinals. Numbers incredible. But I got to ask this question. Is this guy going to be giving the Angels anything at all when he's 41, 42 years old in 2021? Really? Seriously? 10 years, $250 million. Huh? I think that's what's got people most a little bit like skeptical and a little bit outraged, maybe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
absolutely. And, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I think part of the reason for the no trade clause and 10-year contract is family. He's got a son with special needs. I think he doesn't want to be up. He's going to uproot to go to Los Angeles, but I think he wants, if he's going to uproot, he wants to do it that one time and then be somewhere and not worry about getting traded in a couple of years and stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was just 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. We're sitting here. This guy is the face of your World Series champions, and now, what do you got? Where are you going?
J-roll, maybe?
Oh. Let's go talk some football, huh? All right, let's talk football. 5 games this week that might make a difference. We think they might make a difference as we move closer and closer to the playoffs. Let's take a look at game 1. We got Houston 9-3 at Cincinnati, who are 7-5. This is the 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Houston, last week they're coming off that win against the Atlanta Falcons. They won 17-10. We had a backup quarterback in there, TJ Yates. He was 12 of 25, 188 yards, 1 TD, no interceptions. He did have a fumble. 86.8 QB rating. Let's get it straight. Houston, it was the Arian Foster show. 31 carries, 111 yards. He had 3 receptions, 41 yards additional for 1 TD. Over on Cincinnati's side, they're coming off that loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 35-7. They lost. Did I mention Andy Dalton last week? I think I did. 11 of 24 he was, 135 yards, 1 TD, no interceptions, 77.6 QB rating. We had a hard time finding somebody to put up on the screen back here. Had to put Brandon Tate. Oh, he had 4 kick returns for 103 yards. Penalties killed him. 10 for 109 yards. Cincinnati's favored by 3. Did I mention last week I'm just not bought in on Andy Dalton? I think I did mention that. Where do you see this?
You did say that. Well, you're right. It's the Arian Foster show. When Arian Foster gets 30 or more carries, they're 5-0.
There you go.
They're 10-4 if he breaks 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
The Texans can clinch a playoff spot this weekend with a win, and A Falcons loss, a Lions loss, or a Bears loss?
Okay, let me get my slide rule out. So where do we have it going? Why don't we just have Houston win outright, huh? And that would make it easy.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm going with Texans, so.
Yeah, so am I. Houston's going to win this game, all right? That's where I have it going. Over to game two. Game two, we've got the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans are 9-3 at the Tennessee Titans 7-5. This is another 1 o'clock game. New Orleans last week won pretty big over Detroit Lions, 31-17. Drew Brees, another Drew Brees day. The guy's incredible. 26 of 36, 342 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions, 129.6 QB rating. Take a look at that core of receivers he's got. I'm going to tell you, you hear about New England, and I'm going to tell you, I would stack this core of receivers with New Orleans up against New England's anytime. Meacham, Graham, Colston, Sproles. Those four right there, 308 yards, 2 TDs, okay? Now, interestingly enough, Detroit actually had more yards on the ground. 466 for Detroit to New Orleans, 438. I think the difference was Detroit was killed on penalties in that particular game. Over on Tennessee side, they won. They had their win over the Buffalo Bills, 23-17. Matt Hasselbeck, 16-25, 140 yards, 0 TDs, no interceptions, 78. This was a Matt Hasselbeck day. Do you want to step back on Chris Johnson? Huh? You want to step back on that one? 23 carries last week, 153 yards, 2 TDs. All right. Total yards, Tennessee a little bit less, 317 to Buffalo's 386. New Orleans favored by 3.5.
I'm going with who dat this week, and I got it. CJ2K is coming around.
Yeah.
I mean,
I goofed.
You know, the trade I made for him though, I wouldn't. You know, I'd still make that trade. So I think that worked out for both of us.
All right, I'm going with New Orleans as well, easily. All right, let's see. Game 3. Chicago. Chicago 7-5 at Denver, who are also 7-5. This is the 4 o'clock game on Sunday. Last week, Chicago lost to Kansas City Chiefs, 10-3. Caleb Hanie, 11-24, 155 yards, no TDs, 3 interceptions, 7 sacks. I don't know if I've ever seen a QB rating quite this low. 23.8? Really? They had a total yards, Chicago Bears had total yards, 181. They were 0 of 11 on third down conversions. They were 0 of 3 in the red zone. Denver Broncos. Oh, it's Tebow time. 6-1, I believe he is, in his 7 starts. And another come-from-behind win last week over those Minnesota Vikings, 35-32. Tebow, 10 of 15, 202 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. He did have a fumble. 149.3 QB rating. And people are asking, has he gotten any better? I think that would indicate. Willis McGahee, 20 carries, 111 yards for Denver, 1 TD. Demaryius Thomas, 4 receptions, 144 yards, 2 TDs. Now think about that. Let's back that up. 4 receptions, 144 yards. Would that indicate that Tebow can pass? I think it does. This Denver team looks to me like a team that is just all the way around. They are poising themselves to win. And they're going to win because the whole team believes they can win. Now, whether you like Tebow or whether you don't, the team, I think, suddenly has found some sort of a chemistry where they're just going out there. Look at the other players on the team, McGahee and Thomas and others. They're just stepping up.
Sure, they've all bought into each other and know that they can win. And they've got faith in Tim Tebow now. He's
right.
He's week in, week out. He's been proving it to them, and they've all bought into this. And they're starting to get that winning attitude and that confidence, just in time to start making a push for the playoffs.
Denver's favored by 3.5. Now over on Chicago's side, can I tell you, this was a team that I had bought in. I had bought into that team. I really believed. I really believed. After I lost my Eagles, I thought, okay, there's a team I can hang my hat on, and I thought, Chicago's going to be all right. Chicago, would you please listen to me? You got to do something here. All right? You are 7-5. You had poised yourself ready to go into the playoffs, and frankly, you could lose the entire thing and not even get there. Will you do me a favor? Will you please call this guy? Right here. All right?
And that's what I'm talking about.
I am not a Donovan McNabb fan, but I'm telling you they need something behind center, and Donovan McNabb might be the only guy that they possibly you could get in there to win this one and to help them out and get them over the hump into the playoffs. And people sit there and say, well, Donovan McNabb, oh, well, he doesn't know the playbook. He won't be able to work with this offense. He won't be able to step in here and take over. Well, Hanie didn't do it last week.
I'm sorry. I'm on that bus. I don't think Donovan can right that ship. I think Chicago's doing right by not calling Donovan. I don't think with 4 games he's going to be able to go in there and make a difference any more than
if they don't, I don't know if this team is going to make it to the playoffs. And frankly, I think that's a shame. This team had played well. They have a very good defense, and I think that all they need somebody to get this team moving. And you can't tell me that McNabb would do any worse than what we just saw here.
No.
Denver's favored by 3.5.
I'm going with Denver on this one. They won their last 6. They're hot.
Unfortunately, I got to go with Denver as well. But I'm telling you, Chicago, do something. Game 4. Oakland, 7-5 at Green Bay. Undefeated, 12-0. This is our 4:15 game on Sunday. Oakland's coming off that loss last week to Miami, 34-14. I said last week, well, how do you lose to Miami? Miami suddenly is looking like a team that has found themselves. If I'm not mistaken, 3-4 wins in a row now.
Right.
Carson Palmer, 20 of 41, 273 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He had a 76.6 QB rating. Penalties, well, you say Oakland, you say penalties. 10 last week for 91 yards. Time of possession, they had 21 minutes to Miami's 38. There was no rushing in that game. Green Bay Packers last week, close game. Might have been Green Bay's biggest challenge all year. They beat the Giants 38-35. Aaron Rodgers, 28 of 46, 369 yards, 4 TDs, 1 interception, 106.2 QB rating. Again, receivers. Wow. Just like we were talking about with New England and what have you. Jennings, Nelson, Finley, Driver. My goodness. 309 yards for the 4 of them, 4 TDs. Third down conversions, they were 7-12. Green Bay just looks unstoppable. They're favored by 11.
Yeah, I'm going with Oakland.
I'm picking Green Bay on this one. Picking Green Bay. And over to our last game, which should be a good one. NFC East. New York Giants, 6-6 at Dallas, who are 7-5. This is the 8:20 game on Sunday night. Eli Manning, in my opinion, and they're coming off that loss. They had a loss last week against Green Bay. We talked about it before. Eli Manning, though, I've said this before the show. I think he's flying under the radar. He's had a great season, in my opinion, and last week, no exception. 23 of 40, 347 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception. Yes, he did have a fumble. 100.7 QB rating. Receivers, look at Victor Cruz one more week again. Victor Cruz, Hakeem Nicks teamed up 207 yards, 2 TDs. Victor Cruz, though, led that one. Dallas Cowboys last week, they lost to Arizona Cardinals, 19-13 in overtime. Tony Romo, 28 of 42, 299, 1 TD, no interceptions, 5 sacks, 95.2 QB rating. A lot of controversy this week over, are they icing their own kicker? There was talk about, the coach is afraid to put the ball in the hands of his QB. Where do you see it going?
Well, I'm going with this for my bomb diggity bomb. I'm calling an audible here. And I'm going with the Cowboys. And Mr. Garrett, please don't ice your own kicker.
Yeah. I'm going with the Giants. Dallas favored by 3.5, but I'm picking the upset. Check us out next week. We'll be right back at you. See you then.